Hello, welcome to the video series on the Yang family Ba Duan Jin. The more modern and much simplified Ba Duan Jin is a little different. That's 8 simple exercises, each one of which is repeated and has its own benefits on the skeletal system, on the muscles and on health. The Yang family Ba Duan Jin is 8 sections, each one of which is a complex series of body stretching, conditioning and overall workout. Section 1 is the section where we train Pong and An. Pong and An are the 2 essential energies of all Yang family Tai Chi. The Pong and An sequence we can also think of as working with natural clunks of the body. A clunk would be where we can describe if I have an arm and I simply let it release and clunk into position. So here, my right arm, if I lift my arm up and my shoulder up, or I can let the shoulder clunk into position. Well, this is because I'm standing nicely centered and nicely in the feet. So there's some support for the whole of the shoulder and the arm to simply hang in a comfortable place. It wouldn't be comfortable if it's hanging out behind me. I can pull it across me, but somewhere where it just clunks into position. And so our movement in this section 1 of the Ba Duan Jin is a series of exercises where we're working in 5 specific movements, working in Pong and An and the releasing of those things in 5 directions. But each one could also represent a fairly natural clunk. When we're looking at the development of training Pong and An in the body, the first place we would look at this and train this is in the arms. We're more sensitive in the arms and it's easier to understand what to do and how to do it. In the second stage, we can then include the torso along the back line of the body and down the front line of the body. And in the third stage, we can include the legs, where we're working on the outside of the legs and the inside of the legs down from the feet and to the feet. And those 3 stages after that then all coordinate together, and they coordinate together with our breath and breathing. So as we're cultivating our experience of Pong and An, this is first of all done in the arms. The Pong is a feeling of filling in the tissues on the outer side of the arm. An is a feeling of releasing from the armpit all the way down the underside of the arm. It's the feeling almost like being a balloon, so the feeling of filling up from the fingers, up through the wrist, elbow and through the shoulder without raising the shoulder or stiffening it at all, and then from under the armpit releasing down underneath and sitting the wrist underneath the fingers. So this is very important. We don't want to pull the fingers back like we're pulling back from the wrist. We want to sit the wrist as though the fingers are suspended and the wrist sits down underneath it. So when we release from there, we leave the fingers where they are and release the wrist, and then continue that feeling up the arm. So we have 4 stages. The 4 stages would be to develop the Pong, to release that Pong, to develop An or pressuring, and to release that An. So Pong, release, An, release. These 2 poles of the Pong and the An, because they're the 2 extreme poles of the movement, would be considered the Yang parts, and because they're the end part, they would be the Great Yang, Tai Yang. So the Tai Yang of the movement the release of that yang. We find the yin in the middle, and the tai yin is where we've completed the releasing from Pong, and before we begin the expression of An. So that would be Tai Yang in the An. Then there's the release of that Yang until we find Tai Yin, and then Yang to Tai Yang, Yin to Tai Yin, Yang to Tai Yang, Yin to Tai Yin, and so on in endless cycle. It's this cycling of Yin and Yang, from Tai Yin, Tai Yang, and back again, that Tai Chi is named after.